In the annals of goofy movement history, we've got legends like QWOP, GIRP, CLOP, and of course getting over it. Well, let's be honest, we're pretty much looking deep into Bennett Foddy's annals. But what all these games have in common is that they threw ease of use and player comfort right out the window to create unique experiences that conventional controls just can't possibly deliver. Now along comes developer 2Point Interactive and answers the age-old question, what if mount your friends in space? That's right, from the beautiful minds responsible for the Flood frame comes Heavenly Bodies, a space sim so accurate I can finally let go of the constant shame that I never fulfilled my childhood dream of becoming an astronaut. Not so disappointing now, am I, Dad? So over the last weekend I spent my time drifting around and getting sucked into space. So is Heavenly Bodies one massive leap for goofy movement, or one small step in Bennett Foddy's annal shadow? Well, slap on your spacesuit, find a friend to GIRP onto, subscribe to the channel, and let's find out. So a couple weeks ago I clapped eyes with Heavenly Bodies for the first time, and it was love at first sight. I've never felt that kind of connection before, and honestly it scares me that I might never again. So that night I went to my wife and said, be my number 2 and I promise I won't mess with you in space. Obviously I was lying and planning on sending her out every airlock in the game, but for the moment the deal was sealed. So I put on my best formal PJ wear and sent the kind of email only a hungry up and coming influencer can. A please take pity and give me a free key, oh my god, I'm begging you, my life is spiraling out of control, please, I really need a handout kind of email. Well, the release date came and went with only cobwebs in my inbox. For the next 2 days, I spent my time looking up at the night sky wondering when it'd be my turn. And then I got the call. I was heading into the stars, specifically to Saturn to pick up another PS5 controller for co-op, perfectly offsetting any savings from the key, but you gotta spend money to make money. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the gameplay of Heavenly Bodies. From the start, the player is placed in the space boots of a cosmonaut in either orange or white flavor, sent to a satellite base in the outer atmosphere of some big blue planet, and across 7 different missions they're tasked with restoring the structure of the base by doing things like extending and calibrating a satellite array, gathering minerals from asteroids in a lander, and even doing some light gardening. Now where Heavenly Bodies crosses the line from cool concept into something special is by taking almost all control away from the player in terms of movement. As a spaceman, you can move both your arms around independently using the thumbsticks, grab things like walls or items, and tuck both your feet in independently. That's pretty much all the tools you have to get around. But since the game is completely physics-based, you can use anything you can reach to propel yourself around the environment. So if you want to head down a hallway, you've got to grab the wall and throw yourself by pulling down with that arm and then letting go. And I'll just say, if you've been sleeping through your physics classes, you're going to need to figure out this equal and opposite reactions thing pretty quick if you don't want to spend most of your time spinning around aimlessly. Let's say you want to pull a lever or open a door, it's not as simple as just grabbing it. You've got to have one hand on the lever and then the other on something solid, and then figure out which direction you need to push both the sticks to apply the proper force on the lever. And as a person that's been living in a physics-based world for quite some time, I really thought I was going to intuitively get it, but after being humbled by a literal sliding door, I can tell you that learning to play Heavenly Bodies is very hard. But 8 hours and 1 platinum trophy later, I'm reporting that it gets better and the movement is so fun while at the same time completely elevating the entire experience. Now, if just needing to know your left from your right sounds hard enough for you, then things might get a little dicey when you start spinning. While you spiral away, the camera keeps whatever rotation it currently has, and because your sticks always move your arms based on camera orientation, as in up on the sticks is always towards the top of the camera, even just moving the correct arm in the right direction ends up taking 100% of your available brain power, and honestly, you still get it wrong pretty much every time. Again, it sounds like it shouldn't be so hard, but you're trying to do sort of complex things at angles and rotations that you probably never encountered, all while fighting your dumb little space body and also dumb brain telling you the left stick will move your right hand just because it's on that side of the screen. I'm honestly surprised I didn't get like 15 spontaneous nosebleeds with how much thinky thought energy you've got to use all the time. To make it a bit easier, you can push a button to turn the camera, putting you back into perfect alignment with up actually being up, and that's great. When I was playing by myself, I pretty much was slapping that button in the same way you might when Kratos is taking dumps. But in co-op, only one person's up can be the right one, and pressing that button surely condemns your partner to instantly lose every sense of direction they foolishly believed they had. And if someone does it to you, well, they probably won't think it's so funny when the divorce papers get served. Now, fighting through the learning stages doesn't sound like it's for you. There's still good news because the devs added different accessibility options for whatever type of experience you're looking for. On the default classic mode, you have much more control over using your arms and can also propel yourself forward just by swimming in empty space. Then in the assisted mode, you can pretty much fly around using the power of little baby kicks by pushing your sticks in the same direction. And the final mode is Newtonian, which removes almost all non-physically accurate movement. So no more swimming to move around, even if you need to move like a foot to grab something. Unless you're already moving that way, it'll never happen without a little push. Now what's so great is that over my time with the game, I began to appreciate it on different levels. First finding my footing with Classic, I could zip around and fling myself mostly where I need to go, and it's super fun, but it sucks all the tension out of what should be the most nerve-wracking part of the game. Most missions have sections where you've got to leave the safety of your vessel and make your way around an exterior location, and one wrong move means finding yourself on a never-ending journey floating through the universe. Unless you just, like, flap your arms a little bit. All these levels also have tethers around the place which you can attach to your belt to keep you from floating away, but on Classic there's really no reason to use them since all they do is just block you from swimming from one end of the map to the other. But please don't take that as me saying I didn't like the movement, because I loved pretty much every moment I was playing Heavenly Bodies, but at a certain point I was looking for a different experience, and I got just that during my second playthrough on Newtonian. Losing the ability to swim and have some control over the direction you're heading makes the game feel instantly different. While Classic is super goofy, Newtonian delivers what I think would be a fairly accurate representation of what it'd be like to get around in that kind of situation, and if you've ever been to space, please feel free to roast my take in the comments. In the second playthrough, I ended up spending a lot more time moving hand to hand on walls and only making small jumps, because a bad push will send you slowly floating across a room while you wildly flail your arms and stomp your feet like a little baby having a tantrum. Where I felt it really shine was when heading out into a spacewalk, which all of a sudden felt really dangerous. Like this mission where you need to climb out to extend the tip of a satellite dish, my hands were getting sweaty just moving around the edge of this big dumb thing, and it was even worse in this mission where you have to collect mineral samples from different asteroids because you actually have to free float away from your ship to finish the mission. I think if you end up playing this game, you should really give both control schemes a shot because switching it up really breathes new life into these missions even if you've already completed them.
I tried to sneak through the door, man! Door stuck! Door stuck! Please! I beg you!
Now the reason I love this system is because the entire game can be played in single player or local co-op with another person, and that's definitely the way I'd recommend for your first time. We had so much fun bumping into each other or accidentally pushing someone off in some weird direction just trying to move around. Although over the course of the game, my wife, who's definitely not a gamer, really never figured out the controls, and that meant I could straight up bully her. Dropping fireworks to her and sending her off, or kicking her head as she tried to climb through a little opening, or leaving her tethered to the ship while I flew through an asteroid field, or making her be my Bruce Willis. One time she was holding onto a hose which was whipping her all over the ship like a cartoon character, while I peacefully watered my plants completely unaware of the fiasco going on just on the other side of the room. Eventually I even need to clip her to my belt and drag her around the missions like a Sam Bridges type.
I'm Sam! Hey!
It's honestly such a hilarious game and perfect for any time you're hanging out with buds, because I don't see how it could ever not be funny watching people struggle playing Heavenly Bodies. And because both players can select their own control scheme, they can cater their experience down to meet whatever tolerance level they have for frustration. But on the other hand, if you're sitting in a room on your own and not a fan of weird games like these, you might find yourself struggling alone with no one to help you see the humor. Now once you make it through the 7 total missions, the only thing left to do is go back and replay every mission completing their challenges. Each level also has a hidden collectible which you've got to bring back to the starting room, and even though it's not much, I was happy to have an excuse to go back and replay each mission. Like I said, it took me around 8 hours to see absolutely everything in the game, and at the end when I finally turned it off, I felt that it was the most fun I'd had playing a game in a long time. Really the only things I feel like could improve it would be just giving the players the option to change their spacesuit colors, since white's like totally boring and most people want to customize their color anyway. I mean the art style is great and the whole game really looks amazing. Now just copy and paste the suit material like 4 more times, change the base color, and you'll probably avoid like 60% of the complaints you're going to get. And I'd also love to see a level editor of some kind because the mechanics are already there and I just want to keep playing more, but without any additional content, user created or otherwise, there just isn't much reason to come back after you've played through the missions a couple times unless you're dusting off to play with a friend who's never been among the stars. So overall, Heavenly Bodies is actually one of my favorite games I played this year. It fits into the goofed up niche perfectly while offering a more full experience than most others in the genre. I think it's worth checking out honestly just for how unique it is, while at the same time having an insane level of polish, and if you're looking for a fun game to play with some friends or a special someone to drag around like a sack of potatoes, well you found it. Thanks for checking out the video, and subscribe if you want to see more hot content.